want to thank all of you for coming today. If you actually get a chance to buy the book today, turn to page 90 and number 22. And here's a life to-do list of things that I wanted to do in life. I haven't achieved many of them. Some of them are going to take a lot of money to travel overseas and do certain activities. But the number is have a book signing. And so today I get to check that off the list, and you all get to be a part of that. So thank you for allowing me to share this experience with you all. And getting a chance to come back to where I grew up is always fun. Got to spend the day at night yesterday. And I told the audience there that when I graduated from there in 2004, never in my wildest dreams did I think 7 years later I'd be back giving a speech. It wasn't something I thought I was going to do. It wasn't a passion I was going to go after. But yet there I was. And that's why I decided to write this book, Anything is Possible. Because 3 years ago, I was on the phone with a friend. We were just talking, catching up, and just off the cuff, he asked me, "What have you done today to achieve your dreams?" I remember I was standing in my bedroom. I was thinking about it. And I said nothing. And it pissed me off, to put it bluntly. And so I started doing something about it. I started networking with people, calling people, asking questions, so I would have the answers to go after the dream that I had. I knew I was a good speaker. I knew I wanted to do something with that, but had no idea what that was. What are we laughing about? I used a bad word. I said it.
But big people can say that.
I figured that's what it was. I'm sorry. This is my niece up here, and 2 years ago, apparently I was using inappropriate language around a little child, and she told on me that that's where she was learning the bad words. So anyway, just for those of you who don't, I obviously went to UNI. While I was at UNI, I became a part of the sports writing staff on the school newspaper, which wasn't a plan, but I love sports and want to write, so put the two together and make that happen. And my sports editor assigned me to cover wrestling, and I hated wrestling. Absolutely hated it. Hated the attitude of the wrestlers. Hated how much they had to cut weight and stuff. I just hated it. And then I met some of the best wrestlers in the country, and it changed my entire attitude. I got to travel with them, went to cover them at the NCAA Wrestling Championships in St. Louis. And I don't have the picture with me, but I have a picture that Sports Illustrated put in the issue after that event in 2005, and I'm in the picture. You can see me in the lower left-hand corner, and so, I made Sports Illustrated. How awesome is that? So I just kept writing. I worked for the athletic department, got to meet more athletes there, networked with the people there, and it was just an awesome experience to do something I was passionate about and do it for fun. And we can all do that. Writing a book is not an easy venture. Sitting there late at night doing the edits. I had 3 people edit the book, and 2 people did it first, and then they'd send me their files, and I would make all the edits. And never fail, when I'd put the 2 copies together, I'd have over 1,000 corrections to make. And when you see that, when you open up the Word document, it's all red, you just won't quit. And there were many nights where it's like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? Am I even on focus? Am I saying the right things? But I kept going. I kept charging through it. Chapter 8, actually, in the book, is a complete 360 of what it originally set out to be. Because I got the edits back, and I was making them, and I just wasn't feeling it. And you know how when you're working on a paper, working on a project, and your heart's not in it, it's not what you want it to be. So I called one of the editors, because I was mad halfway through, because I wasn't feeling what I wanted to say. And I said, how can I fix this? And he goes, well, I think I should have 3 main points, A, B, and C. And I said, you know what, you're right. So I printed up what I had. I literally looked at it. I cut the pieces of paper apart to piece different stories, throw them away, and then I went and did more research that night. I was up till 1 a.m. that day and had to work at, get up at 6:30 the next day, fixing that chapter. And I wrote in my journal right before I went to bed, because that night, for the first time, I felt like a writer. You throw something away, you start over, you work until you can't work anymore, and I finally felt like I was a part of this project. And looking back at the writing in the journal, it's pretty illegible because I was so tired. But that's the journey that I'm on, to show myself and to show everyone else that if you have that dream, if you have that passion, what is stopping you from doing it? I was given a speech in Cedar Rapids, Iowa 2 years ago. And I do a slideshow for some of the presentations, and I have pictures and just a couple words on each slide. And I had a picture of the bird of paradise flower. If you've never seen it, go home and Google it. It's an extremely beautiful flower. And so I had this image up on the screen, and I was telling these people to, if you have a passion, do it. You know, whatever it is, do something about it. Make it a part of you. And then this woman interrupts me, and I've got the flower on the screen, and she says, "Well, you should paint that." And one of the things that I've been telling these people in the audience is, I was giving them a list of things that I always wanted to do. One of them was I wanted to paint. I hadn't started it because I'd never taken an art class, you know, not going to be a painter, right? And she says, "You should paint that." And I said, "I can't paint that." True story. I told this woman, this group of people, that I couldn't do it. And yet I'm telling them to do it. So it didn't hit me until I was driving home and thinking about the speech and, you know, what did I do well, what didn't I do well. And it hit me. I totally lost the audience in that moment. So I promised myself that I was going to paint that flower. So I brought it today to show it to you. This is a copy of the picture that I did. And people asked, you know, if it's for sale, and I would love to sell it because that's also a goal of mine in the book, that I want to sell a painting. But I love it, and I love seeing it when I walk in my house, because it proves to me that, and it wasn't easy to do, not going to lie. It took me hours and hours and hours of patience and making sure the color, I mean, I was nose to the canvas to make sure this was right, because I wanted to prove to myself that anything is possible if you work hard. And never taken an art class in my life. I'm teaching myself. Never taken a photography class in my life, but I'm taking photographs. I'm teaching myself all the ins and outs of photography. Whatever your passions are, you're the only person who can do anything about it. The only person who can write that book. If you have that story, tell it. If you have that idea, do something about it. Catherine here.